Lewis Hamilton just shattered the silence, and his post-race words are sending shockwaves through the F1 paddock. After Abu Dhabi, he responded to critics questioning whether he had lost his magic, leaving journalists stunned and the paddock buzzing. His reaction? A powerful, calm demeanor that speaks louder than words, hinting at frustration and defiance. And the twist? Rumors about his future in Ferrari and his confidence heading into 2026 are now dominating headlines. Subscribe now because Hamilton's post-race response is the biggest story in F1 today, and you don't want to miss the fallout. The 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix marked the end of another turbulent season for Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. Expectations were high when he joined the team, but the SF25 struggled with narrow operational windows and sensitivity to setup. McLaren and Red Bull dominated the championship, leaving Ferrari to salvage points and prepare for the 2026 regulation changes. Charles Leclerc managed fourth place, extracting maximum performance from the car, while Hamilton finished 8th after starting 16th, facing mechanical instability that challenged his experience and patience throughout the race. Hamilton's battle was as much with the car as it was with his competitors. Onboard footage shows him constantly adjusting the steering wheel through Sector 3's high-speed hotel complex, managing rear instability that made the car unpredictable. Unlike Leclerc, who preferred a looser rear setup for stability, Hamilton relies on precise trail braking and rotation-heavy driving to extract performance. The SF25's sensitivity exacerbated his difficulties, forcing him to fight for grip and trajectory in every corner, highlighting the car's narrow performance envelope. The radio communications during the race reflect a team trying to manage expectations rather than celebrate performance. Race engineer Ricardo Adami acknowledged Hamilton's effort. P8 Lewis. Tough weekend, but good recovery. Thank you for the effort this year. Hamilton responded calmly, saying, "Thank you guys. I know it's been hard. I'll always fight for you guys no matter what. Let's work for 2026. Get home safe." These words show both his professionalism and the mental toll of driving a car that constantly undermined his confidence, even as he remained composed in front of the team. Post-race, the FIA confirmed technical anomalies in Hamilton's SF25. Certain components, particularly in the right rear suspension, did not behave within homologated parameters under lateral load. While these deviations were subtle and not visually catastrophic, they constituted a potential regulatory breach. The findings placed Hamilton and Ferrari under scrutiny, highlighting the zero-tolerance approach of Formula One toward mechanical compliance, even when no direct performance advantage is evident. The contrast with Leclerc's fourth-place finish is stark. Leclerc's slightly different aerodynamic and suspension setup allowed him to maintain tire temperature and car balance more effectively. Hamilton, by contrast, experienced pronounced instability as track temperatures dropped, particularly in the night portion of the race. This disparity demonstrates how sensitive the SF25 was to even minor setup differences, compounding the mechanical issues that Hamilton faced throughout the weekend. Off-track, Hamilton addressed his critics for the first time since the race. Journalists asked whether he had lost his magic after a challenging season, and his response was measured but powerful. He maintained composure, offering no soundbite for gossip, but communicating through body language, pauses, and subtle gestures that reflected frustration and defiance. His demeanor sent a clear message. He was aware of criticism, but he would not allow it to define his performance or diminish his focus on the team's future. Finally, Ferrari's season strategy compounded these challenges. The SF25 in Abu Dhabi was largely unchanged from Qatar, with development frozen to focus on the 2026 car. Operating in a narrow and sensitive performance window, Hamilton faced a car prone to instability and mechanical inconsistency. Combined with FIA scrutiny and the mounting pressure from Leclerc's ultimatum, Hamilton's composed post-race response highlighted both his resilience and the tension inside Ferrari. The paddock sensed that his calm defiance carried more weight than any words he might have spoken, setting the stage for intense discussions leading into 2026. The FIA began its post-race analysis by reviewing telemetry and sensor data from Hamilton's SF25. Engineers immediately identified irregular readings in the right rear suspension under lateral loads, particularly in Sector 3 of the Yas Marina circuit. Wheel load, suspension deflection, and yaw rate measurements all showed deviations from the homologated tolerances. These subtle but repeatable anomalies were enough to trigger further investigation, as Formula One regulations require absolute mechanical compliance at all times. Mechanical testing followed, with the suspect suspension component subjected to hydraulic actuator simulations replicating the stresses experienced during the race. The tests confirmed that the right rear suspension flexed beyond its approved limit by more than 3 millimeters under peak lateral load. While the component did not fail, this deviation alone constituted a breach of Article 11 of the technical regulations, which governs structural and dynamic compliance. The precision of these measurements underscores the FIA's rigorous standards. Comparison with Leclerc's SF25 was crucial. Both cars were constructed to nearly identical specifications, yet only Hamilton's suspension demonstrated the anomaly. This indicates that the issue was isolated to his chassis, rather than a systemic flaw in the car's design. Possible contributing factors include assembly variants, batch differences in components, or setup adjustments tailored to Hamilton's driving style. Regardless of cause, Formula One rules assign responsibility to the team, not the driver, making Ferrari accountable for compliance. High-speed camera footage reinforced the mechanical and telemetry findings. Frames capture Hamilton's right rear suspension compressing more than expected through multiple laps. When synchronized with telemetry, these visual cues confirm that the anomaly was present in real-time driving conditions. The triangulation of mechanical testing, sensors, and visual evidence provided the FIA with a clear case for a potential sanction. To ensure the anomaly's consistency, the FIA analyzed several laps, including laps 31, 34, and 36, which all displayed identical right-rear suspension behavior. This reproducibility ruled out one-time incidents or accidental impacts, demonstrating that the deviation was intrinsic to the component during normal operation. Consistent deviation under regular racing conditions meets the threshold for a formal technical infraction. The FIA emphasized that the severity of the violation is independent of performance gain. Hamilton's 8th-place finish, outside the podium, does not diminish the importance of the breach. Compliance is paramount in Formula One. Any component operating outside homologated limits compromises the legality of the car and race result. The repeated deviation in Hamilton's SF25 satisfies this requirement, placing the team at risk of a sanction. Finally, Ferrari now faces both immediate and longer-term implications. Hamilton's result in Abu Dhabi could be nullified, potentially costing critical constructors points. Beyond the race, this incident underscores the zero-tolerance culture in modern Formula One, where even millimeter-scale deviations are treated as serious. Ferrari must either convincingly justify the anomaly or accept the consequences, which may affect driver morale, team reputation, and preparations for the 2026 season. In modern Formula One, every suspension component serves a dual purpose: mechanical stability and aerodynamic control. The SF25's rear suspension, in particular, dictates rear ride height, pitch, and floor airflow, which influence downforce, tire contact, and overall balance. Even minor deviations from homologated behavior can significantly alter cornering dynamics, traction, and stability. This precision is why the FIA enforces strict compliance standards, where deviations of just millimeters can render a car illegal, regardless of whether the driver gains a measurable performance advantage. Hamilton's right rear suspension repeatedly flexed beyond its approved limit during Sector 3, as confirmed by telemetry, mechanical testing, and high-speed video analysis. Article 11 of the technical regulations explicitly forbids any dynamic deformation outside the declared parameters. The FIA does not consider intent, driver experience, or race outcome. The data demonstrates that Hamilton's SF25 consistently operated outside the specification, establishing a clear technical breach. Hamilton's driving style amplified the impact of this anomaly. Known for aggressive trail braking and significant mid-corner rotation, he relies on a predictable rear end for precision. The extra flex caused inconsistent rear responses, forcing him to make continuous steering corrections to maintain the racing line. While he retained control, the irregular suspension behavior highlighted the structural deviation, which the FIA considers a violation regardless of driver skill or adaptation. Even minor suspension deviations create a cascade of mechanical and aerodynamic effects. Millimeters of unexpected flex alter rear tire loading, change pitch, and disrupt floor airflow, subtly impacting rotation and cornering stability. The repeated deflection observed in Hamilton's car could have influenced car behavior during critical moments. Formula One's zero-tolerance enforcement ensures that even unintentional deviations are treated as regulatory infractions. Ferrari's setup and assembly processes are under scrutiny as well. Both SF25s were built to nearly identical specifications, yet only Hamilton's car exhibited the anomaly. This suggests a combination of assembly variants, material differences, or setup adjustments influenced by Hamilton's driving style. Teams are fully responsible for ensuring compliance. Drivers cannot be expected to compensate for mechanical irregularities, regardless of their skill level. This incident underscores the extreme precision demanded in modern F1. The FIA monitors suspension, aerodynamic, and structural components down to the millimeter. Any deviation triggers investigation and potential sanctions. Hamilton's SF25 demonstrates how even world-class drivers and elite engineering teams can be affected when a component strays outside homologated specifications. Zero tolerance is enforced to maintain fairness and ensure all teams operate under the same technical constraints. Finally, the implications extend beyond Abu Dhabi. Hamilton's suspension anomaly serves as a warning to Ferrari and all teams for 2026. Validation of components, assembly precision, and adherence to setup tolerances are critical. The potential sanction highlights that even millimeter-scale deviations can have major consequences for drivers, teams, and championship standings. Precision and compliance are as vital as speed, and the SF25 case illustrates the high stakes of technical conformity in modern Formula One.